Hello everyone, and welcome to the review of the Allpowers PB65 Power Bank. And this is a power bank that has, like the name suggests, 65 watts of power output, and it has a capacity close to 60 watts. So in the box you are going to get the power bank and a USB Type-C cable to USB Type-C. This has two input-output ports for PD, so you can charge on each of them, and they also work as a discharge. You also have here a push button, and if you quickly press it, it's going to show you the current capacity of the battery. Also, don't worry if you see this flickering in the video, that's because my camera records it this way. With your eyes you are not going to see any kind of flickering. It also has two regular USB-A ports, and if you want more specifications you can actually pause on this table here, and here you get the specification for all the inputs and outputs. So you can see that it can be discharged with 65 watts of power and charge also fast with a charger that is above 65 watts. As for the capacity, I hadn't mentioned it, so this actually has 60,000 milliamps hour capacity, and it's also safe for flight because that translates into something like 57 watt hour capacity total. The capacity is harder to be calculated on this type of power banks because they output multiple voltages, and you can see here it has a full table of outputs and inputs, and it accepts various amps and various voltages. So you want to calculate the capacity, it's a bit harder on this type of power banks. So we need to go with the nominal capacity of the battery, and that's 57 point something. But enough with the talking, we need to test this to see if it really has 65 watts of power. So I'm going to use this cable which has a built-in tester, but we are also going to use this tester. By the way, you can check the review of this cable to see if it's accurate or not. I'm using it because it's okay, and you can probably find here a video related to this cable. Right, so first test is the ASUS ROG Ally, and this will not work if you don't put 65 watts of power into it, otherwise the battery will discharge when you are playing things. So right away we can see here 10 watts of power, 24, 45, and I'm going to try to adjust the camera so you can see that better. So now you should see something like 41 watts of power, and this is only in standby right now and it's just charging the internal battery, but you can see that better with this tester here. And if I'm going to connect this should work nicely, and you can see there 60 watts it was for a short time, 60 watts of power. So this really outputs the needed amount of power. Further on, there is no error on this. You don't get the exclamation mark on the battery charging here, and also you don't get here the notification that says that your charger is not outputting enough power to charge your device and it will discharge while you are using it. The only message you are going to get is here on this part, where it says that annoying thing that this current adapter may result in insufficient charging, because actually the communication level protocol or something is broken up by the eMark chip here or this adapter, so the handheld will not know exactly how many watts you are actually outputting. But you have seen that this has went to 60 watts of power, enough to fully charge this to work on the maximum settings without having any kind of issues. The compatibility is also demonstrated by this. So now if I plug this in again, you are going to see it switching to turbo mode on PD, turbo, so we have full power of the CPU, no error here. And if we go here, you can see the 30 watts of power, so this is charging and allowing maximum power. Also, I'm going to check this with a notebook, so let's see what happens. So I'm going to connect, this is turned on actually, and should draw in a lot of power. Let me adjust the camera so you can see it's doing exactly 5960 watts of power. The designated power of this notebook actually in maximum theoretical order should take 65 watts of power. Further on, if you look here, there is no error. It's the correct charger, so this notebook detects it correctly. Even with the charging cable, it's going to draw in maximum power of this power bank and the maximum power that it supports charging its internal battery. What's also nice about this is the very compact design. Although it's square on these parts, it's in comparison with other power banks a lot more shorter, so it's actually better if you are using this actually as a portable power supply. This can slip very easy in your backpack or something like that, and will take less space than this one, although this one is thicker. I don't know, it's just my preference that this one seems to be more better when you are traveling. Also, let's weight it and see how heavy it is. And this one has 393 grams, so remember this has almost 60 watt-hour capacity. This one here has 74, so it's a bit more. And this one weighs 480 grams, so a lot more. And this only outputs something like 20 to 30 watts out on the PD port, so you cannot charge your notebook or your handheld gaming device. So this is good for charging smaller devices such as mobile phones. So this is smaller, lighter, and much more powerful when it comes to the discharge current. And of course, with the regular USB ports, they are also supporting quick charge for mobile phones and other devices that use this type of charging protocol. Alright, and we are going to check here the charging current, so let's see what happens. We get quick charge, that's a good sign, and you can see here from 5 volts the voltage has jumped up to 8.4, so close to 9 volts. We are charging with 15 watts of power. And the good part is actually a thing that I haven't showed you until now. When this is on, you have a very nice screen here, and I'm going to try to adjust the camera so again it doesn't flicker. You can see here the exact output voltage and the exact output current, which actually corresponds, and it's well within this specification here. You can check them out. So very accurate and really nice to have that. So it's showing actually with digits for the voltage, and you have also the capacity, and it show what it's doing, that it's out, and the charging protocol that now it's not on PD, so it's not fast charging. Actually it is fast, but not as fast as this port can output. So if I take this cable out, and I'm going to put again this one with PD ports, and I'm going to connect that directly to the phone, you're going to see here that they are negotiating, changing the speed, so we get quick charge here, and this has went to 16 watts of power, and you can see here 9.1 volts, 1.8 amps, so this is actually growing and is changing. But this depends on the phone and its battery level, so on some other phones it can be faster or slower, and it actually also depends a lot on the USB cables, because nowadays the USB cables have built-in chips. You can see here an example with this transparent one, and this is an eMark chip. This helps negotiate the power delivery of the device that is supplying power to the device that it's getting power, and through that negotiating they are establishing the best method to transport, so it set up the correct voltage and correct amps. So it's kind of a complicated thing, because this should support various protocols, the cable should know about them, and this device should be able to talk with your cable and tell the cable that I can be supplied with that voltage and those amps. So that gets somehow a communication between them. So everything needs to match. And nowadays these cables can become a problem because some of them are very cheap and they use knockoffs for these chips and they do not negotiate as it should. So you get something like a 65 watt hour power bank and you are going to charge with 10 watts of power, and the problem is just the cable. So that was it for now. I hope that you have enjoyed this review about the Allpowers PB65 compact power bank that it's able to supply 65 watt output for notebooks and handhelds that really need that amount of power. And that was it for now, but be sure to follow my next uploads where you are going to also see its bigger and better brother, the one that supports up to 100 watts output, and it's slightly bigger, so it also has bigger capacity. Until then, see you and bye bye.
Bye bye.